What's going on with Ramaphosa? Is it Dollar Gate, Papala Gate? Is it Farm Gate? What is going on there, and what is your view, and what should happen?
Well, I mean, I think that it's a completely unsatisfactory state of affairs, and frankly, it stinks to high heavens. The fact that the president is yet to take the country into his confidence around the key questions, I think, is putting even more blood in the water around this particular issue, particularly given the fact that this is a president who's predicated his entire presidency on being seen as the clean alternative to the decades of state capture under his predecessor, Mr. Zuma. It's been his leitmotif, clean, accountable government. And so this doesn't go well for him. And I think that he's being disingenuous as well. On Sunday, he said he's never stolen money. No one's accusing him of stealing money. People want to know how a large sum of foreign currency found its way into the furniture at his home, where it came from, who paid the money to him, why was it not banked, was it declared to SARS, why was no police case opened? That's not accusing the president of theft. It's asking legitimate questions. And it comes back to the first principle, Solly, of equality before the law, which means that the law must apply to everybody in the country equally, whether you're an ordinary citizen or the president. The South African Reserve Bank controls and the Financial Intelligence Center controls, as well as the South African Revenue Service regulations, must apply equally to everybody. And the president needs to come clean on this quickly, because in the absence of his commentary or the absence of his side of the story, that vacuum is being filled by speculation, and that speculation is not good.
Yeah, look, the ANC is heading towards an elective conference in December, John. We all know that. And we know that all these people who've been coalesced around former President Zuma are gunning for him. They really want him out. And we also know that Arthur Fraser, who laid the charges against Zuma, is not an unaligned person. He's clearly aligned to Zuma. He's a man who, for mysterious reasons, released Zuma from prison. He's also, I have no idea why Ramaphosa retained this man when he became president. Do you think it could be because Ramaphosa knew this guy, knew some things about Ramaphosa? Like it was like a matter of keeping the enemy inside the tent, pissing out, and then the enemy out, pissing in.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I've often described Arthur Fraser as the J. Edgar Hoover of the South African political scene. As you may recall, J. Edgar Hoover was unmovable because he had the files on every president, and that's why he lasted so long as the head of the FBI. And I've no doubt Mr. Fraser's got files on everybody in South Africa because he was running the principal agent network. But here's the problem that the president has, Solly, is that he cannot come out now and say that Mr. Fraser is a bad man. Because just last year, when we legally challenged Mr. Fraser's appointment as the head of the Correctional Services Department, the president himself deposed an affidavit to the court in which he extolled Mr. Fraser's virtues and set out why he was the right man for the job and why there were these allegations unproven. He can't now turn around and say Mr. Fraser is a terrible man when a year ago he himself signed an affidavit to the courts that this is a good, a fit and proper person. So he's in a dilemma now. I have no doubt that this has got to do with the ANC's internal factional battles, and I think there's going to be a lot more that emerges in the run-up to the election. But what we have to do is divorce the personalities from both the consequences as well as the accuser. It shouldn't matter that it's Arthur Fraser that's made that. I think we need to look and examine the facts, and those facts need to be tested, and they shouldn't just be discounted because they happen to come from Mr. Fraser.
Hello, everyone. If you're interested in advertising on WorldView, drop us an email at worldview.help@gmail.com. We will send you an advertisement guide, which will include the rates and the process involved. A typical shout out for your company or project will be between 45 and 60 seconds. By advertising on our platform, you'll be supporting a company that wants to improve the public narrative. Once again, send us an email at worldview.help@gmail.com, which you can also find in the description below. Now, back to the interview.
Yeah, but I mean, because it's Arthur Fraser and we know his alignment politically within the factions of the African National Congress, we should be mindful, especially you as leader of the main opposition in Parliament, that there is similarly a growing possibility that Ramaphosa will be removed as president. And if he does get removed, we're going to have, God knows, I don't know, replacing him. What would that mean for opposition positioning in South Africa and for the elections in 2024?
Look, I think that we all wanted to give the president the benefit of the doubt. And I think that the problem here is that he is not defending his corner and not coming out with the facts. And that's putting everyone in a difficult position. We can't divorce, we have to divorce the personality from the principles here. And the principles are that we must have equality before the law. And as Mogoeng so eloquently set out in the Nkandla judgment, the role of the president in society at the apex of our political system, it requires an extra duty of care and diligence to not only be seen to be upholding the law, but also to be doing it. And that's a dilemma we find ourselves in. So yes, the consequences in the ANC are ghastly, but you can't keep somebody in office just because you don't like the alternatives and turn a blind eye to the fact that they have done wrong. I think the president can survive this if he comes out quickly and makes a full disclosure, takes the public into his confidence, and moves on. But the longer he remains hiding behind an investigation into something that happened 2 years ago, I think that it's putting more and more blood in the water. And he's giving a stick to his opponents to beat him with. So believe you me, I'm very concerned about what the ANC is. And that's why I believe that we have to move past the ANC for South Africa to survive going forward. But you can't say, well, because we don't like some of the other candidates or the potential, that we will turn a blind eye, because then it means that the law is selective in terms of who it is applied to, and then we're on dangerous ground.
So, I mean, whatever happens in December is going to have huge ramifications for the political scene in South Africa, potentially at least. If Ramaphosa gets removed, we have no idea if there's going to be an ANC president, what's his, Mahashola from the Free State, or Mkhize, or
God help
God
us.
knows who else. Yeah. Are you guys in the Democratic Alliance looking at these scenario plays? Are you saying to yourself, scenario A, Ramaphosa remains president of the ANC / South Africa. This is how we're going to position ourselves for 2024 / or scenario 2, somebody else from the RET takes over. And are you guys thinking in those lines?
Well, for me, Solly, what's going to be important, it's going to, I think, answer the dilemma that analysts, the media, and us as the opposition have been wanting to see, is what is the balance of forces in the ANC between the RET faction and the Ramaphosa faction.
Right.
And I think that we're finally going to be able to see that in visual numbers that takes place at that conference. That is because I've always said that we need a realignment in South African politics, and that realignment has to be around values and principles, and the ANC has to split or be brought below 50% for us to bring change in South Africa. Nothing is possible if the ANC stays above 50%, because we're going to continue on the same trajectory. There may be different people at the top, but the policies will remain. Our economy will continue to stagnate. We will eventually reach an intersection between what we're paying on social grants and our income, and our debt servicing cost will grow up. I think we need 2024 to be the watershed election that's going to smash the ANC's majority and bring change. And that change will come from within existing political parties and maybe some new players. And I think it will involve some elements of the ANC, which is why it's going to be very interesting to see how the center holds the ANC after this conference. I don't think it's going to hold. I think it's coming down to some final showdown between the RET faction and the reformers. And either way, someone's going to be leaving that conference later this year with plans to form something new or break away or do something more drastic.